Before Europeans arrived, Native Americans practiced a spirituality so different, it could change the way you see religion and life itself. When Europeans arrived in North America, they encountered hundreds of tribes, each with its own spiritual worldview. What Europeans called religion didn't exist as a separate category. For Native Americans, spirituality was life itself. Here are 10 shocking ways Native spirituality was different from European religion, backed by historical research. Number 1. Spirituality was part of everyday life. For many Native American communities, spirituality was not something separate from daily life. It was part of everything they did. It wasn't limited to special places, specific days, or organized ceremonies. Instead, it was present in ordinary activities. When people went hunting, they didn't just see it as getting food. They showed respect to the animal and gave thanks for its life. When they planted crops, they treated the land with care and gratitude, understanding that it was providing for them. Even storytelling was more than entertainment. It was a way to pass down wisdom, values, and lessons about life. Caring for family and helping others in the community were also seen as deeply meaningful acts. These were not just responsibilities, but ways of honoring life and staying connected to something greater than themselves. In this way of life, every action mattered. People were mindful, respectful, and aware of their connection to nature, other people, and the world around them. Many Europeans did not fully understand this. They were used to religion being practiced in specific ways, like going to church at set times or following strict routines. Because Native American spirituality didn't look like that, it was often misunderstood or overlooked. Number 2. Nature was alive and sacred. For many Native American communities, nature was not seen as something empty or lifeless. Rivers, mountains, forests, and animals were all believed to have their own life and presence. They were treated with care and respect, not just used for human needs. People did not see themselves as being above nature. Instead, they believed they were part of it, just one piece in a much larger system where everything depends on everything else. Animals, plants, water, and land all had a purpose, and each played an important role in keeping life balanced. Because of this belief, people were careful in how they used natural resources. They took what they needed, but not more than necessary. There was a strong sense of responsibility to protect and respect the world around them. Many Europeans, however, had a very different view. They often saw land as something to own, control, and use for gain. This difference in thinking led to misunderstandings, especially when it came to how land and nature should be treated. Every tribe had its own unique beliefs. These points highlight general patterns verified by historical research, but Native spirituality is as diverse as the hundreds of tribes themselves. Number 3. Multiple spirits instead of one God. For many Native American communities, belief was not centered on one single God. Instead, they believed in many spirits. These could include the spirits of ancestors, animals, the sun, the moon, and other forces in nature. Each of these spirits was thought to play a role in the world and in people's lives. Some offered guidance, some gave protection, and others were connected to nature and the balance of life. People felt a close connection to these spirits and often tried to live in a way that honored them. Spiritual life was not distant or abstract. It was personal and ongoing. People might speak to these spirits, thank them, or ask for help in different situations. It was a relationship, not just a belief. This was very different from the European idea of one all-powerful God who is often seen as separate from everyday life. Because of this difference, Native American beliefs were sometimes misunderstood or seen as unfamiliar by Europeans. Number 4. Oral tradition over written texts. For many Native American communities, important knowledge was not written down in books. Instead, it was shared by speaking, through stories, songs, and the teachings of elders. Elders played a key role in this process. They passed down lessons about life, values, history, and beliefs to younger generations. Stories were often told again and again, helping people remember them and understand their deeper meanings over time. Because these teachings were spoken rather than written, they could be adapted to fit different situations. A story might be told in a slightly different way depending on the moment or the lesson being taught. This made their way of understanding life more flexible and closely connected to everyday experiences. In contrast, many Europeans relied on fixed religious books with set words and rules. Since Native American teachings were not written in the same way, they were sometimes misunderstood or seen as less structured, even though they carried deep meaning and guidance for how to live. Number 5. Rituals were community-centered. For many Native American communities, ceremonies were not something people simply watched. They were something people took part in together. These gatherings often happened outdoors, in places connected to nature, and were tied to important moments like changes in the seasons, planting and harvest times, or personal spiritual experiences. Everyone in the community had a role to play. Some people might lead certain parts, but leadership was not fixed or controlled by one person alone. It could change depending on the ceremony, the situation, or who had the knowledge or experience needed at that moment. These gatherings were not just about spiritual meaning. They also brought people closer together. They strengthened relationships, built trust, and reminded everyone that they were part of a shared life and purpose. In contrast, many European religious services were more structured and led by specific leaders, such as priests, while others mainly observed. This difference made Native American ceremonies feel more inclusive and community-driven. Number 6. Spiritual leaders were healers. In many Native American communities, spiritual leaders, often called medicine people or shamans, did more than lead ceremonies. They cared for the health of the whole community, both body and spirit. These leaders used a variety of methods, including rituals, natural medicines, and personal guidance, to help people heal, find balance, and navigate life's challenges. Their role was deeply practical as well as spiritual, supporting the well-being of everyone around them. This was different from many European priests, whose work often focused mainly on teaching, performing religious rites, or guiding people in matters of faith rather than providing hands-on care for physical or emotional health. Number 7. Personal spiritual experiences. In many Native American communities, people could have their own direct experiences with the spiritual world. Vision quests, dreams, fasting, and other practices were ways for individuals to connect personally with spirits and seek guidance. Spiritual growth was seen as something personal and important. Each person could learn, receive insight, or gain understanding in their own way, rather than relying solely on leaders or formal ceremonies. This approach encouraged self-discovery and a deep, individual connection to the world around them, making spirituality a living, personal part of daily life. Number 8. Ethics focused on balance. In many Native American communities, what was considered right or good was tied to keeping balance in life. This meant living in harmony with nature, caring for the community, and respecting the spirit world. People were taught to act thoughtfully, make fair choices, and avoid harming others or the environment. The goal was not following strict rules about sin or seeking salvation, as in European Christianity, but maintaining a healthy balance in all parts of life. Ethics was practical and connected to daily living, guiding people to create harmony around them rather than just obeying written laws or doctrines. Number 9. Time was cyclical. Many Native American communities understood time differently from Europeans. Instead of seeing it as a straight line from past to future, they saw time as a cycle where the past, present, and future are connected. Life events, ceremonies, and daily activities often followed natural cycles, like the changing seasons, moon phases, or the growth of plants. These cycles helped guide how people lived and marked important moments in their lives. In contrast, Europeans tended to view history as a straight line, moving from a clear beginning to an end. The native perspective made life feel more connected to nature and the repeating rhythms of the world around them. Number 10. Resilience and adaptation. Even when Europeans arrived and tried to change their ways, Native American communities worked hard to keep their spiritual traditions alive. Some groups adopted certain Christian practices or blended them with their own, but the heart of their beliefs, ceremonies, and ways of life stayed strong. This shows how resilient and adaptable indigenous spirituality was, able to survive challenges while keeping its core values and teachings intact. Closing reflection. Native spirituality teaches us that religion can be life itself, not just a set of rules or a book. By understanding these differences, we see history as a story of human experience, adaptation, and resilience, not just conquest or conversion. Thanks for watching. Mode Hub Tales brings untold history to life. Subscribe now to uncover more hidden stories that shaped the world.